Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be my January wrap-up. Now, I do have the first 9 books that I read this month are going to be linked in the iCard in the iCard and the description, as that's my mid-month wrap-up where I talk about the first 9 books. Here are the remaining 12. So let's first start off with stats. I'll get into stats, as well as did I complete my monthly goals for myself, which will be a graphic for the stats and then a graphic for the did I meet the goals. So in January, again, if I look over here, it's because I have that information of my stats over here on my spreadsheet. But so in January, I read 21 books. I read 7,415. I will talk about how technically that's not the amount, because there are 2 books that I didn't finish in January and I'm carrying over to February, but I'm counting the stats as January because I read more than half of the book in January, but you'll see those at the end. The average rating is a 4.125, which is great. Like, I'll take it. And then now on to the genres. So I read 2 contemporary, 11 fantasy, 1 horror, 3 paranormal, 2 romance, and 2 sci-fi. And then for the audience is 4 new adult and 17 YA. So that. Now on to did this month meet my goals, and shockingly they did. So 3 or more genres. I read 6, just different genres. 1 or more LGBTQ plus books. I read 2. 1 or more POC author. I read 3 different POC authors, which totals to 5 books that are have POC authors. So 3 authors across 5 books. So 5 books were of POC authors, which could have been better, and that is something that I'm really trying hard to improve on, but 5 books by POC authors is better than none. And then at least 1 Rick Riordan book. I did read 1 Rick Riordan book. And then 2 or more age ranges. I read 2 age ranges, those being new adult and YA. So now actually on to the books. This I'm going to try to do as quick as possible. So I'm going to give the book, the book title, book author, what I thought, and just kind of all of that. So the first book, not the first book I read this month, but the first book in this video is going to be The Famoux by Kassandra Tate, and this is a 3.5 stars that I gave it. The Famoux, we are in this kind of dystopian sci-fi type world. It's like a dystopian, which is it's like a dystopian world where everywhere, because of reasons I can't really remember, every month for 2 days the sky completely goes black, there's no light whatsoever. And during this time there is this event called the Fishbowl, which is where these members called the Famoux, which are really famous celebrities, go into this fishbowl, and kind of everyone watches their lives and all of that. And when our main character Emily gets offered to be one of these Famoux members, which is essentially the famous of the famous, she takes this opportunity and we go from there. And it was really good, but a lot of it was kind of just okay, yeah, whatever. There was really good plot points, but it did fall short. And also I thought this was going to be a standalone, and I don't think it is, because the way it ended, it seems like there could be a sequel, but there is no news of a sequel, so I'm not even sure. But a 3.5, I felt I was debating between a 3 and a 3.5, but I did like some of the plot elements, so a 3.5. The next 2 books I'm going to talk about at the same time because of the second and third book in a series, so I'm going to talk about them together. And those 2 books are The Darkening and The Awakening by Storm Song, and The Darkening is the second book in the Vampire Trials series, and The Awakening is the third and final book in the Vampire Trials series, and the first book being The Summoning, which I talked about in my mid-month wrap-up. But The Summoning, we essentially follow a I think 20-year-old girl named Scarlet, who we live in this kind of like New York that is run by vampires, and there are like three different sectors of the city, and every, I think it's 5 years, there is this kind of like event where a person from each, a male from each sector gets picked, and it's a fight to the death, and if you win your sector gets like special things that involves like the vampires can't kill the members or something like that. And this is the first year that females are allowed, and Scarlet's name gets picked for her sector, and she goes and fights, and it leads to a bigger plot because it turns out that the only reason they let females in this year was because of Scarlet's name being picked, and that actually it's a lot bigger plot, and I'm like, I could spend forever trying to explain it because I don't even understand half of it. But this is a like new adult reverse harem romance, so one girl, multiple boyfriends, or like multiple boyfriends / love interests. And let's just say I gave both of them 4 stars because they are very trashy books. Like, they aren't, by no means respect are they good, but the enjoyment is just so good. You're just kind of like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? Like, okay, yep, you're fucking him. Oh, nope, we're now on the run. Oh, now you're fucking him. It's just kind of like that, but it's like, I enjoyed it so much. I read, I think, both of these in one sitting, or like at least in 24 hours. They're very short, and I just really liked them. I definitely plan on reading more by Storm Song later in this year. The next book is The Age of Miracles by Karen Thompson Walker, and this, we follow 11-year-old Julia as the world starts to slow and days become longer, and that causes events to change. And this is kind of like a coming-of-age story set in a kind of like in a sci-fi setting, because obviously the world's slowing and all of that, and there's those aspects. I give this a 3.5 because it's really good. I just felt like the coming of age aspects, for example, felt more of like maybe like a 13-year-old's coming of age story than an 11-year-old's. I felt like Julia could have been aged up a year or two and it would have been just alright. And the like science elements were good. I just feel like they were only partially realistic. Like, I feel like some of the like science elements, I was like, is that really what would happen? I could be totally wrong, but I did enjoy this, and I just want to show you, like, first of all, the cover is beautiful because like there's like the like little dots are actually holes that lead into the dust jacket, under the dust jacket, which has this, which I had no idea it had this on it when I bought it. I bought this for $2 at like a kind of like a book sale that went to support like the mental health services in my city, which I obviously went to, and I bought this, and it was better than I thought it was going to be, honestly. Next we have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, and this was a reread for me, and this I gave a 5-star. Legendborn, we follow Bree Matthews, who is a 17-year-old gifted student who ends up in this like college program for high schools where you essentially go and live at this university, but you take these like classes that are like, they go towards your like getting your high school diploma, but they also go towards getting a like college degree or something. And so Bree does this, and on her first night she discovers that magic exists, and then she ends up stumbling more into it and then joining this group called the Order, which is the are the like descendants of Arthur and like the knights and all of that from the like King Arthur myth. And Bree joins this group, and we go from there. And this is a reread, as I said. I love this. It's 5 stars. I love it. I read this for the Avengers Reading Challenge, and I loved this book because the characters are so well written and so lovable, and the magic is so unique because we have like one magic system but 2 different views on said magic system, and Bree has the view of both because she has both. She's attached to both, and a lot of things are revealed. I'm so excited for the second book that we don't have a release date for, but literally I would probably sell my left kidney to read it like next month, honestly, like, to read the sequel next month, because I'm very curious on where the next book's gonna go. And like Legendborn was almost on my top books of last year. It was in like 12th place, so it was really close. Next we have The Hidden Oracle by Riordan, which is the first book in the Trials of Apollo series, and this I gave 4 stars. The Hidden Oracle, we follow the god Apollo as he's been turned human by Zeus as a punishment, and Apollo has to travel to Camp Half-Blood to kind of figure out how he's going to become a god again, and ends up going on an adventure. Let's just say that's kind of how I'm explaining it. But I did enjoy it. Again, I gave it a 4-star. All of Rick Riordan's books I've given 4 stars. I've really enjoyed all of them. This one being one of them. I did like Apollo as a main character more than I thought I was, honestly. Like, at first I was like very hesitant. Yes, Apollo is very arrogant and very like, oh, if I had my godly powers this would be easy, and it's him struggling as a human. But he also shows compassion to like his children, because obviously we go to Camp Half-Blood and there's obviously kids in the Apollo cabin, and like his like compassion towards his kids does show that he is not a complete asshole like you think he is and like you've learned he is. And I am excited to see where the next book goes. I'm reading The Dark Prophecy in February. And overall, this series, I'm excited to see where it goes because I really have no idea. Next, we have Every Single Lie by Rachel Vincent, and this I gave a 5-star. Every Single Lie, we follow a 16-year-old girl named Beckett who one day finds a dead baby in a duffel bag in the girls' like locker room, and that duffel bag is her boyfriend's. That's not a spoiler, that's in the synopsis, but it's her trying to figure out whose baby it is, and as well as uncovering things about her father's past and things surrounding his death, and all of that. I did do an entire like review on this, which I just uploaded like an hour ago as I'm filming this, but that I will leave in the iCard as well, or the description. I ramble a lot in it, but I loved this book. Just go watch my review. I say so much, but I love this book. Next we have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, which I also did a video talking about the show that's attached to this last week as well. But Shadow and Bone, we follow Alina Starkov as she is an orphan who is a part of the military, who gets revealed that she has these magical sunlight abilities that nobody else in the world has, and she must learn to kind of train them as she is doing everything. And we have a good villain and all of that. This is a reread. I read this originally in October 2019, and I'm doing a reread of the entire Grishaverse for not only the TV show that comes out on April 23rd, but also for the release of Rule of Wolves on March 30th. And this I gave, again, 4 stars. I did really like it. And this brings me on to my next book, which is, where is it? Which is Siege and Storm. That is the second book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And this, I'm technically only 60% through, but it's a reread, so I know what star rating I'm going to be giving it, and also I've read more than 50% of the book in January, so how I track it is if 50% or more of the book is completed in whatever month, it gets put as those stats. And also, again, I know how this ends. This is a continuation. We meet new characters. I will say I am falling in love with Nikolai all over again, more than the first time. and my thoughts on Mal, that he is an asshole, are staying the same. But that's all I can say about this, because I'm literally on page 200 and I keep going past the bookmark. 261, and there's like 435 pages, I think, not including the bonus story in the back. But this I will definitely be finished in the next like day or two, like probably 2 days, 3 at most. I'm kind of trying to read it slow because I'm waiting for Ruin and Rising to come in the mail. Next we have A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Brigid Kemmerer, and this I gave a 4-star. A Vow So Bold and Deadly is the 3rd book in the Cursebreakers trilogy, the 1st book in the Cursebreakers trilogy being a Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I actually have a copy of, so I'm going to grab it. So A Curse So Dark and Lonely is which I have here, which is the 1st book in the Cursebreakers series. We follow 2 characters. We follow Harper, who is a girl in DC who ends up getting kidnapped and taken to the land of Emberfall to try to break the curse that is placed on Prince Ren. And the second point of view we get is Prince Ren, who has this curse placed upon him that every season, he will, halfway through the season, he will turn into a monster, and he must try to break this curse, and when Harper arrives, it's the final season. And the second book is A Heart's Fierce and Broken, that we follow the story, but we're following 2 different characters as the plot goes, and then A Vow So Bold and Deadly, we're getting all 4 of the characters' point of views as the events are closing in. And I did an entire reading vlog for this that will be uploaded on Saturday, so like this coming Saturday after this is filmed, which is February 6th. That once it's published, I will, like, once it's released, I'll link it in the description and the iCard and all of that once it's released. But that has all of my thoughts as I'm reading it, but I did like it. It got a 4-star. Next we have We Set the Dark on Fire by Tehlor K. Mejia. I'm probably pronouncing her last name wrong, and this I gave 4 stars. So this we follow a girl named Dani who, we're in this world where some girls go to this like academy to be trained as one of 2 roles in a like society, in like a household in the society. One being, I can't remember what it's called, one essentially being kind of like the bookkeeper and like the organizer for the husband, and the other one being more of the like, essentially the more of the like lover, the more of the like the person that bears child. And Dani is the like bookkeeper essentially. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but it's kind of the story of Dani being like in the household. Obviously she marries somebody. Her like pretty much nemesis is the person that is also married to the guy. We're in like a world where a man typically has 2 wives, and there's this kind of like revolution, uprising, war thing going on the like outside of the walls of the country, and it's a story of Dani being a spy for the people on the outside, as well as her kind of falling for her nemesis, which is also like her husband's other wife, and it's like a cute thing, and then the end reveals that, oh fuck the shit, like that's literally my reaction. I give this a 3.5. I liked it, but I didn't love it. There were some elements that I was just like, okay, this is just okay, and there was others that I was like, this isn't good, and there was others that I was like, this is great. I do plan on continuing the series. There's only one other book, which is I don't even know. We Unleash the Merciless Storm. We Unleash the Merciless Storm or something like that, which I'll try to read in the next coming months. I did really like Dani as a character, and like Carmen, who is like love interest, and all of that. And yeah. And then the final book that I read this month is Deceived by Lynda O'Rourke. And technically I only read 85% of this book, but it is a reread, so I'm counting it. This I'm giving 5, and this I'm giving 4 stars. Deceived is the 5th and final book in the Cassidy Bell series. The first book being Drug. I swear I have mentioned this book in like almost every like wrap up for the last like 4 or 5 months, like since like October at least. So Drug, we follow Cassidy Bell, who does a drug trial for money, and this drug trial goes really sinister, and ends up being like a horror show, essentially like a horror shit show, and all of that. And Deceived is my least favorite. I didn't like the ending when I first read it, and everything just kind of went downhill, but I'm still giving it 4 stars because I love the characters. I do love the atmosphere, how it's like we're in like kind of like rural places in like England, and we're just trying to, our characters are really just trying to get their lives back to normal while they have this like drug in their system that attracts demons to them, essentially. And I did really like this, but yeah, 4 stars. I give every book in this series 4 stars. It's not great, but it's not bad, but it's one of the series that kind of started me reading, so I feel like that's kind of like an obligation to give it a 4 star. But those were all of the books that I read in the back half of the month. I really hope February goes just as well, because I have 15 books on my TBR. Plus, there's one book that I have to add for reasons that I cannot disclose. And all of that, and I am really hoping February goes just as well. February is my month of my birthday, so like, can we have a successful month as like a birthday present to me? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!